Hello, have you heard of the Pareto Principle or the 80-20 rule? For those of you who have not heard it, Pareto is P-A-R-E-T-O, and it means that 80% of your results comes from 20% of your effort. This is the general principle that we get 80% of our outcome by our effort of 20%. So if you were reading a book, in that book, 80% of the goodies in that book is actually contained in 20% of the pages in that book. And the converse is also true in that the same book, only 20% of the value or the goodies is contained in the other 80% of the pages. As a student, when I was young, I did not realize that I was already applying the Pareto Principle. Our exams and our syllabus is very voluminous. I was a science student and I had to study physics, biology, chemistry, mathematics, pure maths, additional maths, and there's so much to study. And when it came to the tests and the exams, very often we are very nervous about what the questions are going to be set in the papers. Therefore, a couple of my friends and myself, we will band together and try to spot the important topics that we think the examiner is going to ask us in the final exams. And more often than not, we were quite right in spotting those questions, and we concentrate and focus on those topics, and it got us through our exams. Of course, there are students in our class who were very brilliant. They know everything from A to Z. They study everything. They know everything. Whatever questions were asked, they could answer it. We were just the average, sometimes often playful students, and we had to just spot what we think would be the questions that the examiner would ask. We were already engaging and applying the Pareto Principle, even though we did not know it exists. If you are aware of the Pareto Principles, then would it mean that 80% of your wealth or your money comes from 20% of your effort? What do you think? Write it down in the comments here to say what you think, that for an employee who is working 100% for his or her boss, is his wealth or her wealth derived from only 20% of the employment that he is engaged in? All depends how you look at it. When the person who is earning an employment income puts his money into savings and eventually into investments to get a good return, eventually over a period of time, his wealth derived from his investment will eventually overtake his employment income earnings. Look at some professionals. Does the Pareto Principle apply to them? For instance, a surgeon. Does the surgeon have this mindset to say 80% of his surgery on his patients will come from 20% of his effort? I don't think so. The surgeon has to put in 100% of his professional skills and duties so that his patient will have a good chance of survival from the surgery. Similarly, even for a dentist has to put in 100% of the work to ensure that they pull out the right tooth or to do the right dental treatment. What about an engineer who designs a bridge together with the architect? they have to put in 100%. No shortcut for professionals. Even for an accountant, they have to put in 100%. And the greatest one that is and must put in 100% of his or her effort is a pilot. Imagine you are flying a plane. You must have the mindset that every time you take off and land, it has to be 100% perfect. You cannot have the mindset to say, it is okay, I apply the Pareto Principle, I just put in 20% of my effort and I get 80% of the results. It's okay, out of my 100 flights, I will be able to take off and land 80% of the flights. The other 20% I can crash the plane. No, definitely not for a pilot. Now imagine, each of us have 24 hours in a day. Let's say you sleep for 8 hours. You have 16 hours left. The balance of the 16 hours, let's say you work 10 hours. So does it mean the Pareto Principle will apply that out of the 10 hours, the 2 hours will give you 80% of your results? Write down what you think about that. For me, I think yes, if you apply the 2 hours to careful and strategic planning, it will certainly give you 80% or even 90% of your results. Particularly in your financial planning, we need to plan our finances and our wealth building mechanism. Surround ourselves with people so that we can find out what are the best instruments for us to invest our money. We must learn to make our money work for us and not just work for money, because our time is limited. Even when we look at statistics, it is astounding that the top 100 richest people in this world owns more than the poorest, the lowest 2 billion people in this world. It's phenomenal. The rich are getting richer and the poor are getting nowhere. The Pareto Principle is something which some of you already know it in principle. However, maybe you are not back to foundation or back to the beginning to be conscious and aware and to apply it because of your busy schedule. When we are busy, does it mean that we are productive? We can be busy for 10 hours a day, flying here and there. I used to think that I am very important when I fly to another city for a meeting and I show to my friends around that I'm a busy person, I'm an important person. The meeting may only take 2 hours. My flying time waiting at the airport, traveling to the meeting venue, etc. will take at least another 20 hours. 2 hours for the meeting, 20 hours for traveling away from my family. How effective is that? Today, due to the COVID-19, we are forced to stay at home. I work from the house. I know many people work from home. And I believe that many large organizations, even Amazon and Google, they are permanently going to allow their staff to work from home. Now imagine your organization, your business house, you have 100 personnel working for you. Based on the Pareto Principle, 20% of your team produces 80% of your company's results. Conversely, the other 80%, which are the 80 personnel, are only producing 20% of the results. So, as the boss and the owner of the company, how do you get your staff to increase their productivity to be better? And if you are just an employee and you are not in the 20% that produces the 80% of the results, the chances are you may lose your job. You may get chopped off at the next instant that your company is thinking of cutting down its expenses. Now, listen to this. Your work can be replaced. You can be replaced by automation. Therefore, it is up to you. I also talked about this Pareto Principle to ensure that our financial intelligence and our financial literacy is addressed with focus. My YouTube channel is an educational channel to help you to be aware and to be alert and to be reminded of the importance of fundamentals of certain things that are back to foundation. We know about the Pareto Principle. We know about the 80-20 rules. Some of these clothes that I'm wearing, I have a lot of clothes in my wardrobe. I guess I have some favorite clothes which I wear more often than the others. I probably do not wear 80% of my clothes. I tend to put on the 20% of the clothes that I wear. Similar to the restaurants I go to and even the friends that I have, I tend to mix around with a particular 20% of my friends whom I think can gel with me. So what about you? How do you apply the Pareto Principle to your life? Or you want to be a pilot to ensure that 100% of your effort will produce 100% of your results. You may already be applying the Pareto Principle in your life without even being conscious or without even knowing it. It's okay, it's fine, as long as it is there to serve you and bring you benefit. However, you can also share this with your children, with your loved ones. And my channel, my YouTube channel, is also targeted for people who are 60 years old and above. Reason being, me and my peers have a certain mindset ever since the duration of time. Therefore, we need to constantly churn the information and learning, the hard-headedness, sometimes even the stubbornness in us, so that we can attune to modern day technology and how things work, especially in our interaction with the young people today, the millennials. Friends, I hope this is beneficial to you. Please give me a like and please click into my YouTube channel to subscribe. Thank you.